What is up, RotoGrinders? Once again, we are invading Blender's space here on a Thursday, 11 o'clock, because there is some afternoon baseball. There's baseball all day long because of the holiday. Happy 4th of July. Myself, Blender, TJ pulling double duty. Really early out there in Saskatoon. Of course, you guys know TJ. TJ's Warwick, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. TJ, 9 o'clock in the morning. You're going to do some analysis for us. You're producing for us. Good morning. How are things in your world?
Things in my world are pretty great. Had a tough start to the morning. I was up extra early today because just I guess maybe I'm getting old. I had some taco time yesterday and the heartburn was wild. It was waking me up. It was keeping me up. It was so bad. And so I guess that's me getting in the spirit for the hot dog eating contest today. That's just, really trying to get myself in the mindset of those guys competing and really just rack up the heartburn. But outside of that, I'm doing wonderfully.
Professional eaters, not those guys. They're professional eaters. I'm protesting. I stand with Joey Chestnut. It's not the real. This dude's like the 18-time mustard belt champion, and they're kicking him out because he sponsors, different companies. Come on, let the guy participate.
I think that's all a work, Dean. I think it's all. I think it's all work. I mean,
is he going to show up with his hair and club the guy in mid hot dog?
No, he's going to show up WWE style. His intro music's going to come. He's going to be wearing a belt.
No, not that type of work. It's a promotional tool. Obviously, him versus Kobayashi on Netflix. It's a whole promotional way. Obviously, Netflix paid a lot more money than what Nathan's could pay, and he's doing that. It's like Francis Ngannou.
Hold on a second. I don't want to cut you off. He's facing Kobayashi on Netflix?
Yeah, that's like next month or something.
I didn't know that. Kobayashi's coming out of retirement? I didn't know.
Yeah, they're doing a big, the match of the century type of thing. Yeah, so he's getting paid a lot more money for that. So, obviously, there's a contract or something with Nathan's that, you can't do that or something. And he decided, well, screw you. I'm going to take more money doing that. So, and then using the band as a promotional tool. And obviously,
he was banned. So I think he sponsors or is sponsored by a I don't know what the right term is, the non-meat hot dog, a vegan hot dog or something like that. And that was a conflict. I thought that was the issue. You're telling me it's
so. This works on all levels because now people want to watch the hot dog eating contest because now we're actually going to get a new winner. And people are intrigued on who's going to be the new star.
It's an asterisk. You got to drop the asterisk. If Joey Chestnut's not participating, if they just took the Dodgers out of baseball and they said, all right, now we're going to have the World Series, they just kick the team out of the best team. I don't know why I picked the Dodgers. Whatever. It could be the Yankees, the Dodgers. If they just kick them out of the league, and somehow the A's win the World Series, are they champions? No.
Well, how about this? Dean, do the 1927 Yankees get an asterisk? Does every stat before 1952 or whatever get? I mean, you could say the same thing. They kind of not all the best players were playing in baseball then either. So, I mean, at some point, it's a slippery slope of well, Chestnut isn't available, and okay, who's the hot dog eating champion now?
He's available. That's the thing. He's a professional eater. You can wake him up, and he's good to go.
He's in it for the money. I mean, if you're Joey Chestnut and your skill is to do that, I would try to make as much money as possible off of that skill before
it diminishes,
before diverticulitis or whatever. Because you never know what's going to happen with your digestive system as you get older. So I applaud him. I applaud him for going for the major league eating can't pay all that much, and I don't care about how much free food you get. That's not what you're doing in a competition. Is not nutrition.
The best thing, a part of it for me, is the introductions. I love the introductions, like the spinach eating champion. He ate 27 pounds of spam, running off all completely absurd. Their resumes are spectacular. You Blender, before you, your skill as of right now, daily fantasy sports is talking some DFS, talking some daily fantasy sports. Your internet is not your skill for what it's worth. I'm seeing it looking really, really funky. Maybe it's just I don't think it's on my end or not, but we'll see. Your image has gotten blurry. It looks like it's correcting itself as I'm speaking. But we got to talk about today's slate. Different where you're shopping. 8-gamer on FanDuel. FanDuel insisted on including the earlier game. Well, there's 2 early games. One we're definitely throwing out. The one that's 11 o'clock. The Mets and the Nats. We're not talking about that one. But St. Louis, Pittsburgh is included in the FanDuel slate. That's Palante versus Perez. The Cardinals are pretty cheap on FanDuel for what it's worth. The DK main slate that starts at 105. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications, TJ. Doing the produce and let the people know. And also, TJ, while you're at it, it's Thursday, which of course means it's a Fleet Thursday. You guys got to tell me what athlete we're talking about. And if you let me know if you guessed correctly in the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. You have 1 guess per clue. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Just because it's a holiday doesn't mean we're taking off Fleet Thursday. Very first clue. And if you bink it here, you know what? If you bink it here, you get a month. You get a month free. I'll make it work somehow. Baseball is your first clue. You got to tell me.
We didn't improve that with Devin. That's coming straight out of Dean's paycheck.
That would come out of my pocket. And I would retire, I think, maybe. But I don't. Have you, TJ, you've seen all the clues. I don't know if you're curious if you got it just yet, but
I didn't think too hard, but I didn't know immediately either.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure how hard I made it. I feel like it's very gettable, but baseball is a little tricky. There's only so much you can do with that, but we want to wish the people luck. Also want to mention Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth's going to be on in about 50 minutes or so, as well as Keith Eyster, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, wrote the musings today. Weather is going to be a part of the conversation. I'll go ahead and drop this in chat for the people as well. One of the more popular pitchers on the slate, Bailey Ober, take it on Detroit. Orange, yellow. Orange is first. Orange is the dominant color. Yellow, orange in Chicago. So we got to keep an eye on that one. Of course, Roth will give a verbal update in about 50 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and drop it in chat. And I see, TJ, you're throwing it up on the screen as well. Feel free to read this at your own leisure. But, Ober was my favorite pitcher on this slate. It is not League of Their Own, Chris. I see Chris in chat. First of all, you're guessing in the YouTube. That's incorrect. Secondly, we're talking about an athlete, not a movie. That's for Monday, Movie Monday. But do appreciate the participation. So Blender, what are we doing here as far as weather? It's just are we in a holding pattern? This is a wild slate where, 7 games, 8 games. I think your pitching pool is kind of the same, depending on where you're shopping. I'm not really running out the pitchers on FanDuel, but it's so tight. Ober, you can make an argument for Pivetta if you want to. Christopher Sanchez, Scherzer, if his leash gets a little bit longer, we have 85 pitches projected for him. Michael King, I think he's got the biggest K rate on the slate, not the best matchup. Chris Bassett's just sort of like always kind of fine. He's like, he doesn't really kill you, doesn't really make you. Framber Valdez, all those ground balls. I was looking at his Savant page. It's really, really strange where he's giving up tons of hard hit contact, but not any barrels, which is so weird. And he's still giving up a ton of ground balls as well. It's just not been great for him. But to me, it's pretty wide open. But I had Ober number 1, Blender. But I also am willing to move off him if there's any sort of weather issues because I'm not married to it. 36%, Blender. Ober, 36% currently projected on DK, 33 for Pivetta, taking on the Marlins. It's pretty jumbled. 22 for Sanchez, 19 for Lively. He gets that White Sox boost. What is your assessment? You want to give me the overall assessment or just a dive right on in as far as the pitchers?
Well, none of these pitchers are expensive. So it's like you're not paying over $9K for anyone. So on a slate this size, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, possibly 6, right? With Detroit, Minnesota. I don't think any pitching combination is necessarily going to prevent you from getting the stacks that you want. And let me say about the Detroit, Minnesota game that if that game starts on time, I think the pitchers are fine in that game. I mean, Roth even says so in the weather report. Of course, we want to get his update on crunch time right after us. Which kind of even raises Ober's kind of ceiling because they get 6 innings in and it gets rained out at that point. He gets the complete game point. So you could kind of view it that way. But yeah, I mean, I would typically GPPs, I'm going to side with two things: strikeouts and pitch count. And I think Ober and Pivetta offer the highest strikeout rate on the slate. The strikeouts. I also think Bassett is in play at 8K. The Houston lineup isn't as great as it used to be. I typically don't like playing pitchers against Houston, but Bassett at 8K may have one of the longer, like both pitchers, Bassett and Valdez in that game, could both go 100 pitches. So as long as they avoid any big damage, I mean, they have upside. And I could say the same for maybe Michael King against Texas. I mean, it's not the greatest of matchups either. And the same thing for Stroman, who, I mean, I'm not big on playing Stroman ever. He's 7,700 against Cincinnati, and this Cincinnati lineup actually has more strikeouts than you think. So those would be my main targets. But I mean, can you take a shot on? I mean, you could always take a shot on Scherzer. I don't expect him to pitch more than 90 at most. But I think he's fine as well. I mean, that would be my pool overall. If you can take a shot on like Maeda at 6,300 against Minnesota,
not necessary.
It's not. Yeah, it's almost not necessary. I mean, if you play an Ober Maeda lineup, I don't even think you're doing your one off is going to you're going to get a $5,500 one off outfielder or something that like I'll just play part of my stack and get like a high 3K, low 4K guy. I don't think it's going to matter that much, but he's in the mix as well. I mean, and if you told me you wanted to play Glenn Lively against the White Sox, any pitcher against the White Sox is always viable. But that would kind of be my pitching pool today, which, to be fair, I just mentioned like 75% of the pitchers on the slate.
Yeah.
They all project around the same. Like the difference between any of the guys that I mentioned is like a 4-point projection difference. I don't think the ownership is going to be out of hand for any of these guys. Maybe Over will get the highest, and maybe people will pivot to Pivetta if they're too scared of the rain in Detroit. But outside of that, everyone else is like maybe 10, 15, maybe 20%. So I don't even think ownership matters all that much. I feel like that today's slate is more guided by stacks than by pitchers. And any combination two of what the pitchers I mentioned, there's not going to be much difference projection or ownership wise between the two, a couple of points. And so, like I always say, play whoever you want.
Yeah. TJ, how are you seeing this? And I'm curious, what are you running today? Are you running your normal 150? Are you running just a couple? Because I can imagine your player pool being like Blender saying, and I was talking about, I was writing with the expert survey last night, like early in the morning, I guess, I suppose, no way of saying it. But I had a hard time figuring out what the pool would be. But I think the pool is, like Blender said, like possibly 9 guys. If you want to make it 9 guys, you want to take some hard stands, you can. I threw Stroman out. I just didn't think Stroman, there's a chance he can get in the podium. I just can't see him standing in number 1, just kind of the way as far as his Ks. He could be efficient and go 6 or 7 and, get a QS, but I don't see him putting up a top score. TJ, I'm curious, your approach today, how many lineups? And if you're running a bunch of lineups, I'm curious how big your pool is, because it might be like 2/3 of the pitchers.
I'm running 150 lineups, but I've kept it pretty tight. I have 6 pitchers in the pool today. I've gotten rid of more than half of them, so I feel pretty good about that. A lot of them, there's no like strong particular reason, but I just needed to draw a line somewhere, and so I took out the guys that I felt like didn't have necessarily the highest upside, highest ceiling.
Okay, so you also threw out Stroman.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And like other ones that I'm sure you're not playing, Schuster is not going to go deep enough, and he's not great. I wouldn't think he's going to go deep enough. I'm guessing you're not playing Kyle Tucker. I'm guessing you're not playing Montes or Maeda.
I would love to play Kyle Tucker, but he's on the IL. If Kyle Tucker was there, I would probably be a lot lower on Chris Bassett.
Kyle Taylor, yes.
Tyler.
Kyle Tyler. I will try for a third time. Yeah, like I was looking at the list of the Marlins prospects, even the updated prospects, and he was 29th on FanGraphs, and I think another site didn't even have him like listed in the top 30 or so. This Kyle Tyler, he did a good job of not giving up home runs, the minors, but not a lot of strikeouts either. Montas, I'm guessing, is a no, even though the Yankees, not exactly the Yankees. Interesting lineup. They have Rice leading off today, which certainly works as a cheapie. Possible pinch hit, depending on if a lefty comes in, maybe Davis jumps in the lineup. But is that all fair to say, TJ? No Tyler, no Montas, no Schuster, no Maeda, no Stroman. Is that all fair to say?
Nailing it so far, yeah.
And how many did you say are you officially locked in? And I'm sure it's weather dependent as well, right? When it comes to your pitching pool.
I'll just swap all my over to somebody else, though. Like, I probably won't rebuild anything if I can't play him for some reason. I have it locked in at 6 right now, and I don't think I'm going to change it.
Biggest K rate on the slate is Michael King. Second biggest is Pivetta. Pivetta also has given up the most home runs by a good bit. On the whole, I like to kind of look at all the pitchers on the whole, and there's a lot of guys that are ground ball guys that just don't give up a lot of home runs, like Framber Valdez, the dude for Philadelphia, Christopher Sanchez. I think it's 1 home run he's given up all season long. He's got a 2% homer to fly ball, but also his ground ball rate is over 60%. I guess there's some regression coming for him, but just he's not a guy that I want to stack against. But yeah, Pivetta, I'm getting ahead of myself as far as stacks, but I think Pivetta is an interesting guy to stack against. Either be over on Pivetta and over on the Marlins, which we'll talk about soon enough as well. I'm guessing Scherzer's in the pool. Yes.
No, Scherzer is not in the pool. Actually, that's the first stack.
TJ, Blender, you want to jump in here and play? We got to guess who is in TJ. Well, like Ober's in there. Unless of course some sort of shenanigans come down as far as weather. But he's going to be in. Any strong
I'm playing Dean. I'm playing like 3 lineups in smaller field stuff. So like my pool is like 4 pitchers.
Okay.
I'm playing Ober, Pivetta, Bassett, King, and I think if compared to ownership, and if we even take a look at SimLabs, SimLabs has Michael King as one of the most under-owned pitchers on the slate, and Scherzer and Lively are the most over-owned pitchers on the slate. You don't even want to know who the most under-owned pitcher on the slate. I'm just not playing Frankie in SimLabs. Frankie Montas should be higher than like near nothing percent. So it's gonna show. He should be like more like 10% owned, and he's not going to be. But other people could go down that path. I'm not playing Frankie Montas. So like mine is really condensed. Mine, Bassett, Ober, Pivetta, King. I'm done. If Scherzer beats me by being efficient in like 5 innings and striking out 8, so be it. But that's the case scenario for that. I think it's quite possible there's like no pitcher on the slate that puts up like 25 plus points. So as long as you get a reasonable score out of both of your pitching spots, you get 15 each. I think you're fine today. And I don't think price matters all that much. But I'd much rather side with either, pitch count and strikeout rate. And to me, number 1 is Ober, number 2 is Pivetta, number 3 is King, and number 4 is Bassett.
Scherzer, his first start. By the way, TJ disappeared on us. I'm not sure if he's still producing. I imagine. I don't know if we can hear him, if he's chiming in, but we do not see TJ. Hopefully he'll come back. If not, no worries. He's keeping us on the air. I imagine he'll come back in some capacity. Let us know what's going on in chat if you don't mind. Scherzer, his first start of the season.
I'm on my producing laptop here, so sorry that this sounds bad, but it's not an internet thing because I'm fine here, but it's on my face up analysis computer. It just stopped connecting to StreamYard, so I'm trying to figure it out right
now. All right, no worries. Feel free to jump in. We'll keep an eye on it. Scherzer, his first start was 57 pitches, Blender. His second start, 77. The standard jump is like 15 to 20, so maybe they let him go. They're not going to let him go full throttle like 100, I wouldn't think, but maybe they let him throw 90 pitches today. It's not the best matchup in the world. If you look at strikeout stuff, both San Diego and Texas, not the best matchups collectively. 18.4% strikeouts for this Texas lineup facing Michael King. And on the other side, we got San Diego at 18.2%. Everybody in the green. Of course, super annoying Luis Arraez from your roster against them. 2.2% Blender. 2.2% is his K rate versus righties this season. The only guy that strikes out a fair bit in the red is Higashioka in the 9 hole against Scherzer. So it's not the most appealing strikeout lineup. TJ, you're back with us. We're good.
We're back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It just it just disconnected me on this computer. So I have two different internets, like a regular one and a 5G one. So I just swapped it to the other one, and it seems good now. But it was weird because all my stuff kept working on my laptop, but it was just this computer that stopped working.
Sven, just joining us, says he fell asleep. He was hoping we would be arguing about Joey Chestnut. We were discussing him about 15 minutes ago. Feel free to rewind. There you go. Happy 4th. Yeah, so Blender, you don't really have any hot takes. It's just kind of like whoever fits, it seems like. And even ownership-wise, we're looking at 36% for Ober. That's pending weather. If the game starts, I'm kind of with you too. Of course, I want to hear what Roth has to say when he comes on in a half hour. But it does seem like if the game starts, maybe they widen that strike zone a little bit just to get an extra inning in, because once that weather comes, it might knock things out. And like Roth said, and it makes sense, like they don't really want to stick around for 4 hours, on the 4th of July. They probably have some sort of post-game firework thing that, most teams are doing that most, probably are getting sellouts across the country. So maybe that's one reason why they would hold out. But of course, we don't care as far as pitching. If it's a 4-hour delay or 3-hour delay, they're probably gonzo anyway. Second clue, by the way, let's give the second clue, TJ, for Fleet Thursday. 1 is baseball. 2 is show me. Show me is clue number 2. Blender, don't ruin the game for everybody, Blender, because we gotta let the people answer. Oh,
I know, Dean. I know all the clues, and I still can't get it. I still don't know who it is.
Really, you're staring right at him, and you don't know. That's interesting.
I know all 5 clues, and I still don't know. I
mean, I'll also say I'll drop a first Spidey bomb at 75 likes and a second one at 100, and so we're only 25 likes away from the first one. Told you there'd be people here watching early in the morning. We got a nice little squad watching us. 500 people overall, 300 on YouTube. Nice group for early in the morning.
Yeah, no days off, man. No days off for sure. Did you have any hot takes, TJ? You're talking about your pitching pool. I don't think I have Lively. If Lively beats me, so be it. It's mostly because he's getting graded on a curve. He's facing the White Sox, and he's got an arm. That's you get the boost because the White Sox are horrendous. Sanchez, I think, is I don't want to say safe, but he feels pretty safe to me. Weather's pretty good in Chicago as well from a pitching perspective. I was looking at Weather Edge before the show. Let me give it a refresh and see if things change, but it looked pretty positive. Pitching wise, let's see. Yeah, 151 games, 77 degrees. Wind coming in basically from center field, right center, 6 miles per hour. Decrease in homers at 22%. Big sample size. Decrease in runs at 6% as well. Not much else as far as positive hitting environment. Pretty neutral in the Bronx. Good hitting weather in Pittsburgh for FanDuel. Obviously not the best ballpark, but an upgrade at 16% in homers and a 252 game sample size, 84 degrees, 75 dew, and a slight wind out to left center. TJ, you want to clarify your pitching pool? I think Framber is one of the more interesting ones. Again, I was digging into him, and he has an awesome barrel rate. Like, he's not getting barreled. I think he's at the lowest one on the slate, if I'm not mistaken, one of the lower ones. Yeah, 4.8% is his barrel rate. Pretty low, but he's getting hit hard. He's got one of the highest hard hit rates. So they're hitting him hard, but not barreling it. Ground ball guy facing a ground ball team, you can say, in Toronto. I think there's a chance, like if BABIP's on his side, he can go like 7-ish. And you're getting a discount too. He's a guy that used to be like 9K. It's been a rough season for him, kind of up and down. He'd be in my pool. I don't know if he's going to be on my main team. Your thoughts?
He is not in my pool. I went Scherzer and Valdez as kind of the two guys I'm cutting today. Scherzer because I'm not sure if the pitch count there is going to be there. Not sure if he'll be himself. Valdez because I'm kind of buying into he's pitching through injury thing. He has just not looked like himself recently. And so I'm going low on Valdez. I have no Scherzer. My entire pool is Sanchez, Ober, Pivetta, King, Lively, Bassett. Pivetta and Ober will be my 2 highest owned, ownership depending. Pivetta probably 1, Ober 2. Michael King will be the guy I'm looking to get most overweight on, but I do really like Sanchez, and I like Sanchez a lot as well. I don't love Bassett, but he's cheap and he can go 100 plus pitches. And so as long as Jordan doesn't tee him up too bad, he's probably going to have a pretty good game against all those righties.
Yeah, how many are we looking at as far as lefties he is facing? Houston can only get so left-handed because, of course, Kyle Tucker is not in this slate. Jordan is out there. Singleton is, but he's not very imposing.
Singleton, Loperfido, and Cabbage are all in the lineup.
Yeah, which is, Loperfido and Cabbage have some promise. There's some prospect there, but, they're not necessarily players we're afraid of. And Singleton, an old vet at this point, looks like he can hit the ball a mile, but he hasn't really done it. Strikes out a fair bit too. I don't mind Bassett, but that's kind of like the theme. I don't mind this guy. I don't mind that guy. Go ahead.
I'm so tempted to bet on a couple Blue Jays to hit home runs today just because the odds are so good. Like a nice plus 700 for Springer, nice plus 650 for Vlad, and they're both like hitting the ball so well right now. It's tempting.
I think you gotta hit that. That's pretty good. Is that like your very specific Canadian market, or is that the like?
That's what I have on mine, but it's like so. Springer is better on FanDuel. He's plus 750 right now, and Vlad is plus 600 on. I think that's MGM, and then 560 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to. I mean, Blender, you probably
screw it. Spidey Bomb #1. We're at 75 likes. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yep, he's been hitting more homers of late, for what it's worth. Yeah, I haven't seen. Is Toronto still losing? They still basically probably going to get rid of Bichette. I've seen rumors of the Dodgers possibly.
I hope like hell if they get rid of someone, it will be Bichette and not Vladdy. I think Vladdy's hitting struggles over the last year and a half have been due to how aggressively his body has been changing. Like, if you haven't watched a Blue Jays game in the last 2 years, you won't recognize Vladdy Guerrero. He looks like a totally different person the way he has changed his body, lost an absolute ton of weight. Yeah. And so I think that is kind of what is affecting the ground balls so much. So I don't want to give up on him. But Bo, I mean, if he has a down hitting year like he is this year, it's just what is he there for? Because his defense isn't very good. And so if you can get like a whole lot for him, I'd be fine with trading him. I'd be much more apt to try and get rid of your core is still all like 25 to 27 years old. You really don't and you do have a lot of expensive older veterans who could help contending teams. So I think there's ways they can blow it up a little bit without blowing it up fully.
Small sample stuff for Toronto. I guess they haven't faced a ton of lefties this year. 60 at bats for Bichette. He's got a 35 ISO, which is bad. It's really bad. Jansen 59, Kirk 75. They have both catchers in the lineup today. Kiermaier 32.
Vlad's is finally the best on the team now, up at 211.
Yes. Ernie Clement is second, which probably says a lot more about the team and less about Ernie Clement. Also,
again, the sample size has dropped even smaller, but in the last 30 days, Vlad's ISO is 533 against lefties.
Blender, jump in here. Give your final thoughts as far as pitchers. We're going to talk some stacks in a second. Anything else you want to share? I keep refreshing. I think we're going to get a new batch of ownership soon. I feel like we are. I'm not sure if much is going to change. One extreme, by the way, as far as
lineups that are due out. The Phillies lineup just came out. Stott, Turner, Bohm, Marsh, Castellanos, Clemens, yeah, this is about as projected.
Yeah, right? It's as good as it can be, considering it's not great. They're missing their three best hitters, or three of their best hitters.
We're not really waiting for much. We need the Cubs lineup and the Padres Rangers lineups, and we're kind of good to go. Not much is going to change, but I just don't select pitchers based on ownership. I just don't think it matters that much. If you want to, like, even though my little pool is Bassett over Pivetta King, doesn't mean that you can't play Valdez or Scherzer or Stroman or Ben Lively or even Christian Sanchez, although I think he's probably a 1K overpriced. I mean, if you wanted to play Tyon, you're not. I don't think there's. I think Jared Schuster is the only one that is like unplayable just due to pitch count. But if you want to play Frankie Montas against the Yankees at like no ownership for leverage, because the Yankees are going to be one of them, probably the most popular stack on the slate. You can, but I also don't think that there's going to be like absurd stack ownership either. So, I mean, I know I'm a broken record sometimes when it comes to this stuff, but like I can make you play any if you'd like. No, I'm into Valdez and I can't play Nick Pivetta. Then okay, that's fine. I mean, we have our projections here. I mean, that's what we look at. That's the core of what we've been doing for here at RotoGrinders for 10+ years. So I trust our projections. I trust our ownership. I trust our tools. You should sign up for RotoGrinders Premium by clicking on the link in the description, getting $40 off your first month. So you don't have to worry about making player takes. You just like, oh, look, I'll look at the numbers and I go, okay, how do I build lineups that have decent numbers? And the projection difference between Frankie Montas and Nick Pivetta or Bailey Ober is like 6 median points. So even if you went down to Montas, you're not doing that bad. But even if you cut it off at like Valdez, the difference between the highest projected pitcher and the lowest projected pitcher of like 9, 10 different pitchers is 3 median points. So like that
strikeout,
right? It's like it's barely anything. So like, play whoever you want out of that group. I think you're not giving up much, and the owner, and it's not like one guy's going to be 50% owned and one guy's going to be 5% owned. They're all going to be around the same amount of ownership. So I think this slate is guided much more by stacks than by pitchers.
Blender, you mentioned there's $40 off if you get a month subscription to RG. What if I like commitment? I'm willing to commit, say for, I don't know, 6 months. Is there something for me?
I like the way you're playing the normal bit backwards, because typically you're on the side of, well, I only want a little nibble. You only want a 3-day nibble, right?
Gotta change it up.
It's like, no, I trust RotoGrinders so much that you could get like $250 off a yearly thing. I mean, that's like paying for like 2 months just for nothing. I don't know why we're giving away like that, but if you want to do that for the whole year, and it's not just the end of the calendar year, it's from the day that you subscribe all the way to the next calendar, all the way till basically you could have an annual membership to RotoGrinders Premium, which you get all the sports. So MMA, PGA, NFL's coming up. We have preseason NFL content. We have WNBA projections. So you can use that for prop betting. So it's not just DFS, it's prop betting, it's pick'em. We have cricket projections for prize picks. Okay, this is how far down we go. So if you want to become a RotoGrinders Premium member and have the year from hot dog eating contest to next year's hot dog eating contest, sign up today, get $250 off. Click on that link in the description.
By the way, Roth just downgraded the risk in Minnesota. It's now yellow-orange. You flipped the dominant color is now yellow. So feeling a little bit better. We'll see what Roth has to say. He'll be on in about 20, 25 minutes or so. Cubs lineup is out, Bo. You mentioned they weren't. They are out. They've been out. And Philly, like you said, just dropped. We're still waiting just for San Diego and Texas. Let's go ahead and drop the third clue in Fleet Thursday. It is Hot Corner. Hot Corner. Baseball, show me. Hot Corner. I see some guesses already in the live stream chat channel. Casey Douglas, it's not Lou Gehrig. Philly, it's not Frank Thomas. Graybill, it is not Babe Ruth. Snowfighter it's not Shoeless Joe Jackson. These are baseball players. These are guesses. The best you can do. It is not George Brett Melvy, but that you're playing the game correctly. It's the results versus process is what's important around here. Okay, let's go.
Chipper Jones is my guess, Dean.
Yeah, it's not Larry Chipper Jones, but again, you are playing the game correctly, which is what matters. All right, let's go ahead and show our board. Joey's, we power ranked. I guess I power ranked Joey's today. That is our board for stacks. Tell us the best and worst Joey. Others receiving votes. Joey Lawrence, Joey Galloway, Joey Gallo, Joey Wendell, Joey Tribbiani, Joey Harrington. A lot of research goes into this. Joey King. But let me know in chat what the best and worst Joey is. No. Jim, it's not Joe. No, Joe Torre. No. Joey. It's not Joe. It's very important. Judges are very strict on this. It's not Scott Rowland being thrown out in the YouTube chat. Now, that was a player that played. No, that person is not eligible. It's not a Joey, and that is not for now Ken Caminiti. Just third basemen are being thrown out.
Yeah, this is what happens, Dean, when you combine the things together. People are trying to get Fleet Thursday,
but they're not playing correctly. Even if they're right, you can't. It doesn't count because they got to answer in the Discord channel. So even if it was Ken Kennedy, it might be. It could be. But if
You're
it was,
telling me that our wonderful YouTube audience are not good at taking directions.
Well, I'll tell you, Kareem is saying Ozzie Smith, and that's just again, there's a theme here as far as our guesses. Tim is very confused.
Later in his career, he did play third base.
Ozzie Smith, but nobody thinks of him as a third baseman.
Of course, but I'm just saying that really late in his career, he did play some third base.
How about that great Washington Wizard Michael Jordan or the great New York Met Willie Mays? Like nobody does that. I mean, who's all right? All right.
What are you talking about? I mean, to me, one of my favorite football players is Minnesota Viking great Brett Favre.
Me too, actually. Like, not ironically.
Oh, don't Google him. All right.
And New York Ranger great Jaromir Jagr.
My Saints wouldn't have a Super Bowl without Vikings Brett Favre.
Okay, you're thankful for his just
pick six is the Tracy Porter.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and show the board. We'll talk some stacks. Again, FanDuel, on FanDuel, you're getting the St. Louis game. St. Louis and Pittsburgh, that game is in play, not on DK. That's a little, TJ, if you can make that a little bit bigger, if you don't mind. I don't know if that's just for me or for everybody else, but it's a little tricky to read. Is that something you can resize? But
that would actually have to be Blender who resizes it and make it bigger. That's his screen.
Correct. Yeah, Blender, if you don't mind. I imagine that's other people are struggling a little bit. Yeah, homage to the greatest professional eater of all time, the 17, 18-time mustard belt champion, Joey Chestnut. I stand with Joey. He's, of course, number one on our power ranking of Joey's. Joey Votto, shout out to Canada. What a great Canadian baseball player. Is he ever going to play for the Blue Jays? Is that ever going to happen, or is he still like in the minors? What is Joey Votto doing right now?
He's been rehabbing an injury.
Okay, hopefully we see him just for fun. Seems like a great dude. Good baseball mind too. Hopefully he's in the game in some capacity for a long time. Joey Ramone of the famed Ramones. Joey Fatone of the famed NSYNC. He seems like a fine fella, but and then if you know, you know. If you don't, feel free to Google him. But Joey Buttafuoco, we had to put somebody in the bottom. And once I was like, wait, who's the worst Joey? Yep, Joey Buttafuoco. And if you're a little bit younger, feel free to Google Joey Buttafuoco at your own leisure. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of disputes. He is the worst Joey I can think of in my 10 minutes.
I mean, I remember when I was younger, Dean, because I'm from New York, like it seemed like for a 2-year period, every front page of the New York Post had to do something with Joey Buttafuoco and Amy Fisher, and his wife got shot, whatever. It's all they're making
spoilers.
Any pun. The New York Post always makes the headlines with like puns and stuff to show how serious they are of a publication. Of course, New York Post, the bastion of New York journalism. So like if you were around in the early 90s, you would know exactly that Long Island love affair case and everything with Joey Buttafuoco.
Somebody in chat did guess greatness guessed A-Rod, which is that's at least an acceptable guess because he played a chunk at third base, but it's not A-Rod, it's not Mike Schmidt, it's not Paul Goldschmidt either.
Do people understand what show me? To me, the second clue is easy.
I know. Well, don't. Well, you know what? Actually, it could be a little bit misleading. I'm just realizing now it could be a little bit misleading, but there will be some clarity. Clue number 4
is it D again screws up the clues? Is it another one of the every Thursday I do this with you that you come on, you somehow you put it either too easy or that's not what I meant, right? I'm thinking show me meaning the state.
Okay, so you want to if you want to put an asterisk next to this, you can put an asterisk next to it. We're just dropping asterisks everywhere all day. But so it doesn't necessarily mean he plays for that team, but there is some relation too. How about that?
But it still means the state. It's not like just like it's for some odd like weird like he likes to expose himself or something like that.
No, it's not Brett Favre. We've already said he didn't play third base, of course. Okay. TJ, you want to quickly knock out St. Louis and Pittsburgh? I know, again, DK kind of drives the conversation. 9 total, Palante versus Martin Perez. I don't think either one of these guys, as far as a pitcher, is something we're looking at. FanDuel prices are really good on St. Louis. I think St. Louis is very much in play. The ballpark kind of stinks, but you're getting Goldie really cheap. You get Arenado really cheap. Historically, once upon a time, they once smashed lefties. Where would you put the Cardinals and the Pirates on the board?
It's a pretty good weather spot. Neither of these pitchers are very good, but neither of them are really pitchers I like stacking against either. With Palante being a heavy ground ball guy and Martin Perez being essentially a magician where he never gives up a ton of runs. I would probably just drop them both in Ramon.
Yeah. Any issue with that, Blender? How much you probably haven't thought a lot. I didn't mean to throw you off, but okay.
To me, they're in the they're not even in on any of the tier lists because I'm playing on DraftKings and they're not going to be there.
Cincinnati and New York, 9 total. Did we drop the 4th clue? We should drop the 4th clue on the people because Crunch Snap's coming in about 15 minutes or so. Let's give them the 4th clue. Ham. Ham is the clue. Ham is the clue. Blender, Cincinnati, New York, 9 total. Stroman, Strosho versus Montas. A little bit funky lineup there for the Yankees. They are leading off Ben Rice. Volpe is in. It's not that he's not playing. He's just batting 6th today. They shuffled him around. Where do you have the Reds and the Yankees?
Well, I think that the Yankees are the highest projected point per dollar stack according to the bat. I think they're going to be the most popular stack of the slate. So, like by raw points, you'd put them with Joey Chestnut, but I think they're going to be overowned. So they're going to be in the second tier just due to ownership. Because remember, this is kind of adjusted for ownership. And the Reds, I think they're a little too expensive for what they are. I don't mind attacking Stroman, but Stroman typically doesn't like get crushed or anything. I mean, they're okay. They're gonna get some ownership. I mean, in my 3 lineups, I can tell you I'm not playing the Reds today, but I mean, they're not like they're middle of the pack. If you want to play the Reds, sure, why not?
TJ, any disputes?
I would probably bump Yankees up to Chestnut. But other than that, no dispute here.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and keep them where they are at. By the way, reminder to answer in the live stream chat channel. You know what? We got a winner in the live stream chat channel. And this is again, I actually saw the correct answer in the YouTube, but you know the rules. You got to answer in the Discord live stream chat channel. We can play out the string and drop the 5th clue just for funsies. The 5th clue was all states. All states. Shout out to, I believe that's Esquire 3. Got the correct answer. Producer Devin, producer Steve not here, but send me a DM and we'll juice you up with premium. If not today, tomorrow. It might be a little bit delayed because, you know, the 4th people away on holiday. And they don't give me the ability. I don't have the ability to just give away premium all willy-nilly. I don't have that as that capability. But yeah, Esquire, send me a DM and with your RG account. I assume that's the name right there. Oh, there you go. Is that producer Devin lurking or producer Steve? Somebody's lurking. They're going to hook it up right now. Awesome. Thank you, whoever that is, whoever is hanging out. Okay, let's knock out the next game. That is Houston. Houston taking on Toronto. TJ's Blue Jays. Bassett, the Hound, versus Framber Valdez. 8.5 total. TJ, where are we putting the Astros and your Jays?
Kind of anticlimactic, but I almost think just Ramon for both of them again. Maybe Fatone for both of them. Not super keen on stacking the Blue Jays. I mean, no, I would Valdez in general. I don't like stacking against him. Valdez lately, I think it works. So I would probably go Valdez and Ramon, or sorry, the Blue Jays and Ramon. And then the Astros, I like them a lot more as a mini stack than a full stack. I want to get a lot of Alvarez, but I'm not getting to a ton of them as a team. Probably Ramon too, but okay with Fatone.
Blender, you're the one with the power, right? You threw Toronto down there in Fatone.
Yeah, I think that the Blue Jays are going to be overowned today because of price. Typically, Valdez is not the type of pitcher with ground balls that is going to be like the team that you want to stack against. Although Bassett is more of the pitcher that you would. And even though I said before, Bassett may be in my pitching pool. I think the Astros the Astros project well also. So these are one of these sides. You know, I like attacking high variance situations where if Bassett is going to be 20% owned, and it diminishes the Astros ownership. I do not mind playing Bassett in one of my lineups and an Astros stack in another lineup, but they don't get up to, the second tier. But I would rather play the Astros over the Blue Jays today. I'm not sure if I'm personally playing either, but if I'm going to take one-offs and stuff, I agree with TJ that I would be playing Astros one-offs over Blue Jays.
Okay, so we'll keep it as it is. Little things might be the tiebreaker today. Texas, no Marcus Semien. So life a little bit easier for King. Smith leading off for the Rangers. Smith, Seager, Lau, Garcia, Langford, Tavares, Jankowski, Kisner. So no Jonah Heim as well. And then Ornelas, the rookie. It's a weakened Texas lineup, so I think you got to bump up King a little bit. We'll see. Does that change anything for either of you guys? I think King gets a little bit of a bump. The absence of Marcus Semien.
Yeah, I would say that too. It's still a good lineup, but I liked King a lot anyways. He was my third favorite pitcher. He's probably still my third favorite pitcher, but I don't disagree with you.
Let's go ahead. The answer is we gave enough time to the people, and shout out to Esquire. We'll just give the clarity. Baseball, it's a baseball player. Show me. Now, this person does not play for the Cardinals, the Show Me State, Missouri. Played college ball in Missouri. Hot corner, plays third base. Ham. Look, also it's 4th of July. There's always going to be something themed in there. It's 4th of July. All States. Who's famous from being from All States, Blender? You love commercials. You're a big fan of mascots or spokespeople. So-and-so from Allstate.
Jake from Allstate. Okay. That doesn't. Okay, that now you're getting a little bit of a stretch. And
also, who was that? You're big on the comedian streets. Who was the comedian who said hamburger? Like that was like their punchline for like every joke. You know what I'm talking about?
Who's that?
I don't know if he was that famous, but that was sort of like his
let me Google a hamburger comedian. What I mean, hamburger.
Yeah, you're gonna find something. You're definitely gonna. It's definitely gonna pop up. Yeah,
Hamburger Jones, Hamburger Jones.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know.
Frequent use of the cowboy hat and frequent use of the word hamburger. Hamburger Jones. I've never heard of this.
More because like hamburger, Jake from Allstate Burger. The answer is Jake Burger. Okay, let's move on. Blender, the board is yours. White Sox, Cleveland 8.5. Cleveland pretty big favorite here.
Hold on. I thought we had the Rangers and the Padres.
Well, no, that they're not next. I was just the lineup dropped.
Why did we mention? I thought we mentioned them for some reason with Michael King.
The lineup dropped.
Because the Rangers lineup is out. I'm sorry. I'm ruining everything. I'm sorry. You have this all under control. You have it all structured, even though half the clues for that Athlete Thursday tend to be wrong.
Every one of those clues are perfect. We don't want to make it too easy. You got to earn it. There's no participation trophies. You got to earn it. Second Spidey bomb, by the way. TJ dropping it silently. If you're watching the board, Jackson Merrill. So Vladdy and Jackson. Does that mean we're at 100 likes, TJ? Is that where we're at?
That does, and I got another one for the people as soon as we hit 125. So keep smashing that like button.
We do have to pick up the pace because crunch time's coming in here soon. So let's be quick with our words, Blender. White Sox, Cleveland. Where do you have them on the board?
Cleveland is the highest projected stack in the bat, but they're not going to be the highest owned. I put them in Joey Chestnut tier. I mean, truthfully, the Guardians and the Yankees should both be on the top tier, but I believe the Yankees are going to be higher owned than the Guardians, so that's why I moved them lower because of ownership. But even so, if you want to switch it around, I think that's perfectly fine. And the White Sox actually don't project all that badly against Ben Lively, so they're not like an F tier team. It's not a team. I'm not playing the White Sox today. Can you make a case that because of ownership, maybe they're even in the Ramon tier? But they at least make the Joey Fatone tier because Ben Lively is probably going to be overowned for how not good he is. And maybe the White Sox, you could get a nice 3-man with a White Sox stack. You could play an Aaron Judge, you could play a Jordan Alvarez today, and still play 2 good pitchers. So I don't mind. The White Sox don't project all that much lower than a lot of the top stacks on the slate.
Blender, if I didn't say to be efficient with your words, what else would you have said?
That's as efficient as I was being.
Yeah,
I think I was most efficient.
TJ, what do you got?
White Sox and Buttafuoco and Guardians and Chestnut.
I will. Whoa, yeah, I agree. Let's move the White Sox down. Chad Kuhl likely coming in as the longer man there for Chicago, but no certainty that he has not pitched in a while. Boston, Miami, Kyle Tucker taking on Nick Pivetta. Not Blender. This is TJ. Where do you have the Red Sox and the Marlins?
Red Sox, I think I have up in Votto. I really like them today, even though it's a very difficult ballpark. Lefties have just been absolutely torching. What's his face? So far this year. As I'm just swapping over at Tyler in a limited sample size.
I called him Tucker.
I mean, I couldn't remember if it was Tucker. I couldn't remember if it was Tyler. I couldn't remember if it was Taylor.
He's getting shuttle cake no matter what you call him.
Yeah, exactly. It's a limited sample. It's small, but he's got absolutely shellacked, as Dean liked to say, so far. And there's a lot of good lefties in that Boston lineup. I think I actually don't mind Miami going up against Pivetta, even though he's my top pitcher. I would probably put them in Fatone, but would be okay with Ramon just because of the leverage aspect.
Blender, any issues? Boston in Votto, the Marlins in Fatone.
I agree directionally with TJ. I think the Red Sox are a little overpriced, right? Even though I do have Tyler O'Neill plus 525 on BetMGM for
that's a good number.
So like from price perspective, I'd put them in Ramon. Like I'm not playing a Red Sox stack today in my 3 lineups. But I definitely agree with the Marlins. And I mean, if you want to put the Marlins in the Ramon tier, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think like the only reason why I put the White Sox even lower is that if I'm playing a cheap team, I'm playing the Marlins against Pivetta more than anything. But also understand, I don't mind playing the Marlins in one stack and Pivetta in a different lineup. So it's not like it's not like, oh, I believe in one thing. I just think that for their price, the Marlins could beat up on Pivetta, or Pivetta could just strike out 9 guys.
I wrote about this in the expert survey. Basically, what you're laying out, I'm going to be over on Pivetta and over on Marlins. Let's put the Marlins in Ramon's. Boston's my favorite stack today, all things considered. No ballpark is spectacular today from a weather perspective, so whatever negative it is playing in Marlins Park, it's a little bit more subdued than it is to other days when it's like 98 and wind blowing out. No ballpark is spectacular weather-wise. Okay, we got to move on. Cut more games. Crunch time coming in shortly. Blender, you're on the board. It is Detroit, Minnesota, 8 total, Maeda versus over.
I mean, this game, you may not even get all 9 innings. This there's an issue. Bailey Ober is going to be probably the highest owned pitcher on the slate, assuming that game plays. It's a small enough slate. I was right about the Tigers yesterday, so I'm putting them in the Fatone tier just due to leverage, although that's more of a large field thing. I'm not playing the Tigers today. And the Twins against Maeda, maybe a little bit overpriced. I consider them an but if you go tier team, but if you want to also put them in Fatone, I don't think you're crazy playing them in 150. It's just that, remember, this game if this game only plays 6 innings, then I would just X out the stacks completely, because you're not 30% of your plate appearances are going to be gone.
Yeah, I wonder what Roth has to say to that. But if that is the case, either don't play it at all, or I one off a guy like Riley Green or something like that, or all in, I guess. But I'm more into over, and that's mostly it. Certainly Minnesota is interesting versus Maeda as well. TJ, we have Minnesota all the way in the bottom in Buttafuoco, which is kind of surprising. I guess that's somewhat weather related. And Detroit hanging out with Joey Fatone. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the worry of the weather has gone downgraded. Roth thinks they might get 9 in. I like Minnesota quite a bit. I would probably put them up in Votto. Maybe okay with Ramon though, but I would probably have them in Votto, and then Detroit I would drop down to Buttafuoco.
Padres just dropped no Cronenworth. Sullivan is catching. I gotta say, I just feel like under looks good in that game with both lineups getting downgraded. Although it's 7.5. It's already kind of baked in, I suppose. But yeah, Rise, Profar, Merrill, Machado, Solano, Peralta, Kim, Sullivan is a lefty, but not good. Wade is not good at all, and he's a righty. Okay, we'll talk about that game in a second. Philadelphia Cubs 7.5. Tie on Christopher Sanchez. Looks like more of a pitching perspective, and it's better conditions for pitching today in Chicago as opposed to hitting. It's not amazing, but better. TJ, Phillies, Cubs.
Cubs in Botafuco for me, and Phillies in Ramon. I think is probably where I would put them. I think I missed where the Padres got dropped in Botafuco too, but I actually like.
I just put the Rangers and Padres at the bottom.
That game's next.
Yeah, that's next.
Okay. Oh, got you. My bad. But I think I would have Cubs at the bottom and Phillies in the middle.
Any issues with that for you, Blender?
I have the Cubs as the top stack of the entire slate.
Okay.
From an ownership perspective, well, from an owner, I'm looking at the bat projections, and the Cubs project towards the top half. Not much. Better than the Reds, the White Sox, the Twins, the Blue Jays, the Marlins, the Tigers, the Padres. Just all of it. People aren't going to play the Cubs against Christopher Sanchez. It's not like many people are going to play Sanchez, but if you take a look at their lineup, there's a lot of strikeouts in their lineup. There's also a lot of power in their lineup, and I know that Christopher Sanchez is good, but I go by numbers. I go by projections, and if the projections say that the Cubs project well and they're barely going to be owned, I'm going to play a Cubs lineup, and they would be a middle of the pack team. I'm fine with Fatone, if they were owned, but if they're not going to be owned, my main lineup is going to be Guardians Cubs today. So they nowhere near make the Botafuco. Amy Fisher ain't coming in and shooting any of the Cubs.
Spoilers, Blender. Come on. Some people are going to watch the TV movie. It's only been 35 years. Reminder, by the way, the DK slate does not start until an hour from now. FanDuel, of course, 12:35, St. Louis and Pittsburgh if you're playing on that slate. And also, I gotta take the big L. It's been pointed out to me in the Discord, and bad job by me. So Jake is from State Farm. He's not from Allstate. I think that might have been what you guys were saying. I was thinking of the guy Dennis Haysbert. I guess the guy from 24, Pedro Serrano. I'm not really sure. I got my insurance companies confused.
Right, that's what I was wondering. Allstate. It's like what Allstate? What baseball players in an Allstate commercial?
Bad job by me. They still got there. They still figured it out.
I said this before. I said you're going to screw up one of the clues or something. You also don't realize that Dean, Missouri isn't just the Cardinals. It's also the Royals. So that's why some people are like George Brett and stuff, and you didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So, look, 80%. You bat 800, you're straight to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So, 4 to 5, they got it.
Can I address something in the chat?
Sure.
Remember that there's a difference between predicting something being probable and something being profitable. Okay? I play DFS. I don't predict outcomes. Okay? If you told me that I'm going to play a contest with 300 people in it, and I'm going to be the only one with the Cubs today, then the Cubs are actually the most profitable stack to play on the entire slate. Now, if you tell me that 30 lineups are going to be like that, then I don't play the Cubs at all. So it has nothing to do with Christian Sanchez didn't you act like the projections don't know any of that. So it's okay, well, if no one's going to play the Cubs today, they shouldn't be none owned. They should be something owned, and they're going to be way under owned. While the Yankees, they're the best stack on the slate, but they're also going to be mega owned. So probably they're the best stack. But they may not be the most profitable stack long term. So that's the difference between predicting outcomes and playing daily fantasy sports.
So I did ask TJ if Crunch Time was here. Normally, this is not me. Normally, Steve would let me know, hey, Crunch Time's here, because I don't have the access to see what's going on.
I was waiting until we were done the tiers.
Okay, so I wasn't sure how long they were waiting, because I was like, I feel like they should be knocking on the door, if not now, 5 minutes ago. But yeah, just wanted to make sure that they're good. They got some beverages, some hot dogs. They're hanging out in the green room. They'll be in a few minutes. But let's knock out San Diego, Texas. I feel like we've teased this a couple times, TJ. King versus Scherzer. No Semien for Texas. No Cronenworth for the Padres. And Bichette was just scratched because he was just traded to the Dodgers. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows what's
Why would you say something like that to me?
Because they should trade him to the Dodgers. And
yeah, but I thought it was real. I thought it was real. I was ready to Google the return. I was freaking out.
He's better than like Gavin Lux or whatever nonsense the Dodgers are rolling out. All right, so let's knock out the Texas and San Diego. I saw another Spidey bomb dropped as well with J-Ram. TJ, complete the board for us.
Yeah, so I don't mind San Diego today, even though it is not their top lineup that we're getting. I would probably put them in Ramon, but maybe even up to Votto. I like them quite a bit. And so I don't mind going with them, going up against Scherzer. And then for the Texas side of things, I would probably have them in Fatone.
All right. Blender, looks like you were proactive and you threw Texas all the way down at the bottom.
But both of these down in the bottom. They're the two lowest projected stacks, and they're overpriced. So,
that's kind of where I'm at, too.
Yeah.
I think the compromise is they both go in Fatone if we're going to compromise. Does that sound right to you, Blender?
It's fine with me. I'm not playing a single Texas Ranger or San Diego Padre in any of my lineups.
We got Cleveland all by themselves hanging out with Joey Chestnut. He's available. He's his schedule's wide open today. Joey Votto, he's got the Yankees and the Red Sox. They're getting along. Ramon with St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Houston, the Marlins, and the Phillies. And then Toronto, a lot of teams hanging out with Joey Fatone. That's the Blue Jays, Detroit, Minnesota, the Cubbies, Texas, San Diego, and the White Sox, as it seems oftentimes are hanging out in the bottom, in the cellar. All right. We should go ahead and bring Crunch Time in. Let's say hello to do we have a fancy graphic today, TJ? I'm not sure. I assume we have it. We're going to be we got a sound effect and the whole deal. Let's go ahead and bring in Crunch Time. It is Kevin Roth. It's Dave Potts. It's Keith Eyster. Roth, welcome.
I like Steen at that intro. That was nice.
Well, I wasn't sure if there's going to be a graphic. I'm like, what's I don't know. I just figured that'll transition if nothing else. But yeah, how are things in the Roth household?
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
All right. No screaming children.
I was going to say I could complain. There's no daycare today or tomorrow. I have plenty to complain about, but I'm being positive, so I'm just. It's good. It's all good.
Fair enough. More importantly, I guess we could probably step aside. Did you guys have anything else? Oh, anybody have any thoughts on the Joey? You always like to chime in sometimes. Thoughts on the Joey power rankings? Anybody have a thought? Did I miss anybody? Anybody get snubbed?
Can we pop it back up real quick?
We, in honor of Joey Chestnut, we had Chestnut first. I stand with him today. Not watching the hot dog eating contest, but we had Chestnut first. Joey Votto. Joey Votto was second. Joey Ramone of the famed Ramones. Joey Fatone of the famed NSYNC. And then Joey Buttafuoco of Infamy.
There's one very obvious, I can't believe it's not the top tier above Chestnut, Joey Tribbiani.
He was in others receiving votes. I'm not a big Friends guy, so I didn't really know where to put him.
That's a fictional character. That's a fictional character. That's not a real
what are you talking about? I've seen him. He seems very real.
You have issues, Blender, if it's a fictional character? We've done fictional characters.
Yeah,
before.
Fictional Joeys. We have to have the real Joeys.
Well, okay.
I was not told this was a real Joey ranking.
I would throw in baby kangaroos to that list.
No, nice. Yes, I love that.
Baby kangaroos. All right, fair enough. Joey Harrington's upset somewhere. Joey Galloway, Joey Gallo, Joey Porter. Who else was on my list? That's basically it. That was, we only took so much time. But Roth, the people want to get an update as far as weather in Minnesota. So I think myself, Blender, and TJ, we're going to see ourselves out. Do appreciate y'all watching. Hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on those notifications. TJ, do we have one more Spidey bomb? Are you going to be hanging out in case we get to the threshold, or are we done?
I dropped the 3, Vlad, Jackson Merrill, and Jose Ramirez. If we get up to 175 likes, I can drop a 4th.
All right. That's TJ.
Since I'll be here.
Blender.
I'll be behind the scenes. I'll be still chilling.
Yeah, that's right. You're still producing. You're going nowhere. Myself and Blender, we're stepping aside. We're getting out of here. It's crunch time. You got Keith Eyster, Dave Potts, Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. It is crunch time. We're going to take it up to FanDuel lock, and then I do believe we've got DK lock about an hour after that. And we've got 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. Dave Pot, Cheese is good. What up, Cheese?
Not much. It's America's birthday today, from what I hear. TJ fired up about it, ready to go for this.
He is. I got to give TJ
slate.
credit. I asked TJ, I was like, hey, do we have a late crunch time today? Because if so, it ruins, my whole life, essentially.
Right.
And he said, I don't think so, but if we do, I'll do it for you. And that's just like, that's coming through clutch.
That's why there are friendly neighbors to the north.
That's right.
Thank
you, TJ.
We're on the same team here.
Yeah. TJ, by the way, your haircut looks absolutely fire. I may have to fly to Saskatoon just to get fade. You look good, bud.
Come through, and you guys are getting crazy heat waves everywhere. It's just a nice 80 degrees every day with some sun right now where I am. So come visit. It's a great place to be in the summer.
Now's the time. Do a little fishing in Saskatoon. We got Keith Eyster, aka the Iceman, as well. Ice, it's you just woke up, right? This is wake up time for you.
100% rolled out of bed and I'm here, but at least I'm here.
We appreciate it. Well, we love the dedication out there in was it mountain time, right?
I'm in Pacific time this time of year.
Oh, good Lord. Wait.
They're one of those states that they don't switch time.
Oh,
correct.
I don't know. It's so confusing.
That's me too. I'm in the exact same boat, Keith.
That is so bizarre. I don't know how you can keep up with that. That makes everything difficult. But hey, what we need you here today, Ice, is to navigate us through this. It's a big slate. There's a lot going on. You feel good about it?
Yeah. I mean, you can go a ton of different ways. So if you do have conviction on something, then just play it. I'm not concerned about ownership hardly at all on the whole slate. If you like it, play it is basically how I'm viewing the slate.
Okay. I approve of that. Speaking of, I think that's a good transition into weather, which the only real concern is Minnesota. And I'll kind of leave it the way that Ice did, which is if you like it, play it. It's literally the only spot something could go wrong, and it could go wrong. My current lean is that they probably get in most, if not all of the game before any rain arrives. If and when rain arrives, that could be the end of the game. The concern is that this game is at noon, and at noon you still have storms popping up. This isn't an evening game where the storms have popped and I'm just timing them out. So if one storm pops up in the wrong spot and causes a delay, that could be it. So this is not a safe play. If you don't want the risk and you don't want a game that's going to go 4 or 5 innings or has the potential to only go that many innings, then just don't play that one game, and then you're good. I do think the likely outcome is it works out. I think if we get a delay, it would be 7th inning or later is the likely outcome. But again, it takes one storm to just absolutely throw that whole forecast out the window. So I think for GPPs, you stick with it. Pitchers and hitters. Cheese, you cool with that?
Yeah, it's tricky because if there's one thing on the whole slate that's chalk, it's the Twins pitcher.
Cool.
Cool. It is. He's the top play, probably the highest owned player on the slate. But unless you say, oh, it's almost certain to get delayed after 5 innings, which you're not saying, I think it's not like this is 100% guy anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving him where I had him to begin with, which is in this bucket of about 5 or 6 pitchers that I have at 30% on DK and 15 on FanDuel.
Yeah, and I think that's the move. I do want to remind everyone that comes after this show is over. So I will tweet or X or whatever the hell it's called, an update, and maybe a storm's going to pop 25 minutes from now, and it's going to be ticketed to go right over the ballpark. And then at that point, I will say, don't do it. But as of now, I'm not saying that. I think you just do it. Solution Sports says, stay away from the Twins game. Rain, rain, rain. Yes, if you look at the weather.com radar, it's going to rain all day. But also, if you looked what game was it that looked like it was going to rain? Kansas City, I think yesterday. It said it was going to rain all day and all game, and the game was fine. So just be mindful of what source you're looking at. That's it. That's pretty much my whole spiel. Anything else is just a waste of time to talk about. So let's dive into this slate. Cheese, you talked about pitching in Minnesota and 4 other dudes.
Yeah, it's really like 6 other dudes, and they're all like the same guy. Like there's a whole bunch of good but not great pitchers in like okay but not great matchups. Like I think this is the most spread out, like evenly spread out I've been all year, as far as just really straight up like 30% of all these guys on DK and like 15 on FanDuel. I do not have a strong lean at all. The way I'm officially ranking all these guys is Ober, Pivetta, Sanchez, Scherzer, King, Valdez, Lively, Tyone. So there's 8. And that doesn't even include Chris Bassett, who you could just as easily have in there. Maybe even Marcus Stroman. They're so close. And I think Ober and Pivetta are the kind of chalk to where I would say, okay, those are the 2 guys I want, Ober and Pivetta, but I don't want any 2 guys who are the only chalk on the slate higher than everything else. If every pitcher was guaranteed the same ownership, I would go a lot heavier on Ober and Pivetta, but given that I'm pretty sure they're the kind of popular options, I'm just evening them out with everything else. As far as what I think the ownership's going to be, I'll say I think I'm probably most over the field on Scherzer. And maybe Sanchez. I think there's a chance Scherzer's just fine and ready to go. And ready to go probably still means, 90 pitches, not like 100. But if this was Scherzer of last year, much less Scherzer of 2 years ago, he'd be like lock button. Everybody's playing him. But because he's only 2 starts back and the pitch count's just kind of slowly ramping up, I don't think anybody's playing him. And I think it's quite possible that he's just the best pitcher on this slate, and conceivably even by a lot. So that's the guy I'm probably most overweight on compared to the field.
Okay. After those 8 that you listed, is there like, also there's this cheap random nonsense? No, that's it.
No.
That's that. Okay. Very good. Ice, I want to hear your pitcher pool here. How many guys do you have in it, and how concentrated are you? Is there a dude that you love that Cheese didn't mention or that you're higher on?
There's no dude that I love. I do agree that without ownership, it would definitely be Ober and Pivetta at the top for me. Personally, I'm taking my most overweight pitcher is Nick Pivetta, just because I think he has the highest strikeout upside on the slate. And then Michael King is my next guy. 27% strikeout rate. That Texas lineup is a little bit watered down. No Marcus Semien today. So they don't strike out a ton, but Michael King has one of the better strikeout rates on the slate. So those are the 2 that I'm well over the field on, Pivetta and King. I'm slightly under on Ober. That was originally sort of a weather decision. I might add a little bit more Ober back in just because I do think he's the best pitcher on the slate. Christopher Sanchez is a little bit overpriced, I would say, for his skill set. I like the matchup for him against the Cubs. So a little bit over the field on him, but not near as much as I am over on Pivetta and King.
Okay, fair enough. I think with that, we can flip it and talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. And Ice, you can lead us off. I'm looking at the Yankees there, over 5 implied runs. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, Yankees are probably the top stack on the slate. I think the Guardians are in that top tier right alongside with them. Both of them have good matchups. The Yankees against Montas, who has been wildly inconsistent over the past couple of years, really. The Guardians against the White Sox, who Jared Schuster probably isn't going very deep into the game. The White Sox bullpen is really bad, and Cleveland has been a really good offense this season, maybe better than some people even realize. I have the Red Sox right up there alongside them. I like their matchup against Kyle Tyler. On FanDuel, where we can play the Pirates and the Cardinals, they're both looking really good against 2 low strikeout pitchers there. And now the Twins, I'm kind of torn on. Like, yes, it's risky, but I think they have a ton of upside as well against Kenta Maeda, who just gives up a ton of hard contact. So the Twins are in my pool as well.
Okay, very good. Cheese, your thoughts here stack-wise? What do you like?
Yeah, exactly the same. I think I started the day moving the Twins kind of down because of the weather risk. I think it's worth moving them back up, but still they're in 4th place instead of the 1st place I would have had them in.
Okay.
So it's
keeping in mind that, there still is a chance they don't go 9. Maybe it's 7, 8. Maybe it's significantly worse. So I'm glad you're still factoring in that risk.
Yeah. So I would have had it Twins at the top, followed by Yankees, Guardians, Red Sox. And then I've just flipped it to putting the Twins 4th on that list because of that risk. And then everything else, and very literally everything else, is very much in the pool. It's a lot like pitcher at that point. After you get past those top teams, just I have every one of these teams stacked, even the ones I don't like, because there are no unbeatable pitchers at all on this slate. And these top offenses are not. This is not what we see on some slates. These are not can't miss offenses either.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go around the horn, but first, I forgot to tell you, Cheese. Last show, I accidentally registered for a single entry night contest. It was the second DFS contest I played all year. Accidentally registered for this like 700-800 person tournament for the night slate, and just filled it out, not paying attention. Came 12th place. Came 12th place, won a bunch of money. 12 out of 800 people. So that was a nice little surprise to wake up to this morning. Felt good. So shout out to the great content that you provided last night, Cheese. Good job.
No, good job to you.
Yeah. I mean, I just was it Arizona, I think Arizona stack.
Yeah, Arizona went nuts. Yeah, I woke up and they were down 4-1 when I went to bed, I think, and woke up. They had scored 12.
Yeah, it was nice. Arizona stack, and then one of the pitchers that you told me to play, which was Estes, who had.
Oh, he was
incredible.
Yeah.
So good job. Devin says, sounds like Ross should play more. I might. It was a pretty good result there for my second time playing all year. Okay, let's go around the horn, talk position by position. Cheese, you can lead us off. What do we have at catcher?
So just because of the weird way that this slate is, and where all the salaries land, my highest owned hitter by far, actually my highest owned player, higher owned than any pitcher even, is Austin Wells. It's not because I think Austin Wells is amazing. It's just because he plays for the Yankees and he's cheap, and I'd rather spend the money somewhere else. I do like Ryan Jeffers, and Jansen is okay, and they're not expensive, but the $1,200 that you save going to Wells is very useful. I think Bo Naylor is right there as well. Garrett Stubbs is kind of right with them. And then all the other random cheap stuff is filtered into stacks.
Gotcha. Ice, your thoughts?
Yes, same names for me. Danny Jansen up top is my favorite play. I like Austin Wells for a little bit cheaper, Bo Naylor for a little bit cheaper. Yainer Diaz, another name that I'll throw out. But yeah, it's the same guys.
Okay. Then first base.
Really like Josh Naylor in a lefty-lefty matchup. Hopefully that holds his ownership down a little bit. He's been outstanding against lefties this year. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., certainly. Heimer Candelario is fine against Stroman. Spencer Horwitz looks okay. And I don't generally play a ton of Luis Ariz, but I'm fine with him here on a short slate.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at first?
It's kind of garbage. I think it's probably the worst position. On FanDuel, I think you probably play a bunch of Wilson Contreras, your catcher in the catcher first base slot. He's my favorite play in that early game. You can do Goldschmidt there as well. On DK, I guess Ben Rice is chalk because he's leading off for the Yankees, and he's probably going to be a pretty good player. But if you have a little more money than that, I certainly rather Candelario. Josh Naylor is is fine. I mean, he's my favorite player for raw points, but for the salary, I don't love him. I have some Spencer Steer, and then it's just a bunch of just toss random things in the stack. This is just not a position I see anything I love.
Do you get some Uncle Ben's rice in there? I just wanted to say Uncle Ben's rice.
I understand that you did.
Move on. Yeah, that's all I've got. All right, second base, Cheese.
Moving on.
Yeah.
It's pretty grouped up here. I think Gleyber Torres on DK is my favorite play just because they're all kind of the same guy and he's cheaper. Like I like Stott and Hamilton a little better and Altuve, but not enough better to really warrant spending the extra salary. On FanDuel, where Jimenez and Stott are cheaper, I like them quite a bit better. I also have some Oswaldo Cabrera on DK. And then Willie Castro, I backed off on him a little bit because of the weather, but I think I'm going to play him kind of evenly to like Stott and Hamilton.
Okay. Ice, your thoughts there at second base?
Gleyber Torres is my favorite play here at the position. I do like David Hamilton a good amount. Bryson Stott as well. Altuve up at the top is fine. Don't mind some Jonathan India. And let's see if there's anybody else here. Willie Castro is fine. Don't love the ownership on him, but he's in the pool. And a little bit of Davis Schneider as well.
Okay. That takes us to third base.
At third, Jose Ramirez is the top play here for sure against the lefty. Willie Castro has eligibility as well here on FanDuel. Arenado against the lefty hasn't been as good this year as he has in his career, but certainly he's cheap enough. He's certainly in play. Vladdy has third base eligibility as well. Really like him today. Something cheaper, Jose Miranda in a twin stack is certainly fine, and Bregman for the Astros.
Okay, Cheese, your thoughts at third?
Third base is pretty great. Jose Ramirez is one of the 4 like superstar, really 5, I think, like spend up bats. We'll get to them later, but Ramirez, Ellie De La Cruz, and the 3 outfielders, Soto, Judge, Alvarez, like those 5 spend ups, like closely followed by Devers, kind of like lead the slate by a huge margin. Like anything that you can do to get as many of those guys as possible is what I want to do. But there's also, so I forgot to mention, because he's second base on FanDuel, but the World Series champion Guardians just keep calling up these people out of nowhere that are all minimum salary and all amazing. Angel Martinez is batting second, and he's 2,200. And you can't play him and Ramirez in the same lineup because they're the same position. Of course, I like Jose Ramirez better, but I think this guy probably should be a 4K player today. So I like him a ton. With Ramirez,
like
Devers, and then all the way down to him.
And switch Ramirez for him, and then you're different?
Yep, and you're different, and you have the salary. And I like him as a one-off, too. Like, he's in lineups, both Guardian stacks and non-Guardian stacks.
Yeah. Okay, great. Shortstop, Cheese.
So Ellie De La Cruz, like he's a little bit behind Ramirez, Judge, and Soto for like top play of the slate, but I do love him. After him, it's a pretty big drop for me. Like I'm fine with Trey Turner, but just barely. Seager and Correa, sure, but they're pretty far behind Ellie. So mostly if I'm not playing De La Cruz, I'm going down to Hamilton or Volpe, or on DK all the way down to Brooks Lee, minimum salary. It's pretty nice to be able to play a minimum salary guy like Lee at shortstop, like Martinez at third, and that's how you get Judge and Soto with 2 good pitchers. So most of my lineups are just all the way up with Ellie or all the way down with Lee.
Gotcha. Okay, Ice, your thoughts at short, all the way up, all the way down, anything in between?
The only thing in between that Cheese mentioned Volpe, I do like him. Josh Smith got the bump to the leadoff spot today. I don't mind him against Michael King, but yeah, I like punting with Brooks Lee, and the top is fantastic. Trey Turner, I think, is really sneaky today. Has great stolen base upside against Jameson Taillon and Cubs catchers who have not been able to throw anybody out this season. So good stolen base matchup for Trey Turner. Wanted to get that out there.
Nice. Okay, take me to the outfield, Ice.
Yeah, Judge and Soto are fantastic against Montas, who's really struggled. Verdugo is the cheaper Yankees outfielder. Yordan Alvarez is in a great spot as well. Chris Bassett has been very bad against lefties, while he's been very good against righties. So Yordan stands out for sure. Another young Guardians player, John Kensey Noel, tough name to say there. George Springer has been much better of late. Really like him leading off for the Blue Jays. Let's see. Tyler O'Neill looks really good. Trent Grisham is another cheap Yankees outfielder. David Dahl is another punt type play. Don't mind him against Jameson Taillon, who struggles with lefty power. I think that about does it.
Cheese, outfield.
Judge, Soto, Alvarez. Shall we move on?
I mean,
yeah,
we don't all have all the money,
but we do. So yeah, those three guys are like very obviously fantastic. I do also really like Lewis Roberts, and Jazz Chisholm. They're a fair amount cheaper. You can throw Tyler O'Neill in there as well. Definitely John Keensey Noel. I don't know how you say that, but I'm going with John Keensey. 2,500 on DK, and he's good. There's other cheap stuff like David Dahl's 2,700. We got cheap Astros lefties. Gavin Sheets is fine. There's a lot of things you can do. Jesus Sanchez. So yeah, as much as I love those three guys, most of my lineups have two expensive outfielders, and then one of the cheaper guys. And I think that's all I want to highlight there.
Okay. We've got about 5-6 minutes until we hit FanDuel lock. If you have any questions, bring them in. Dean wants to know, am I doubling down on yesterday's success and making another lineup today? I'm only doing it. I will only play if I can double super cheap SP. I need like a 6K guy and a 4K guy or cheaper, because then it's fun. I get to jam in all the bats. I don't have to think about it. You're just like, oh, I know this dude. I know this dude.
So yeah, you can't play today. It's not even, they're just not there. It's not that they're not good. It's that they literally don't exist. So
not doing it. I just wait for Cheese to tell me there are two super cheap guys I can play, and then I'm in. That's my strategy. Let's get some QQs. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, how expensive was this again? What am I paying to watch? It's free. Holy smokes, the show is free. That is outrageous. All that we ask is you hit that thumbs up button for us right there at the bottom of your screen, and make sure you consider signing up for RG Premium here. We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price of $469.99. That's a savings of 250 clams as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also get your first month of RG Premium $40 off for a limited time. And if you want to test run, a 3-day pass is $19.99. You can't even play a few games at Dave & Buster's for that much money. I mean, $19.99, that is a steal. Highly recommend you check that out. Let's take some QQs. What do we got? Cheese Yordan or J-Ram in cash straight up on FanDuel?
J-Ram.
Okay. Would you play Ober in single entry? This is kind of a me question, and I think the answer is kind of yes. I think I would, unless I tell you 20 minutes from now that I wouldn't. But as of now, I think the answer is yes. I think I would. Ice thoughts on pitching on FanDuel. Is it still over Pivetta despite the much larger price difference on FanDuel?
Per dollar, I do actually prefer Pivetta. I'm more overweight on Pivetta than I am on DK as well. So yeah, I do think it'd be Pivetta over for me.
Great. Your two favorite GPP pitchers on FanDuel, Ice, is that Pivetta and Ober, or is it Pivetta and someone a little sneakier?
Yeah, I like to go a little bit sneakier with the second option. It's definitely Pivetta number one. I like the strikeout upside here. And I'll go Michael King as my second option, a little bit lower owned than over.
Excellent. We'll go to Greatness's question. Cheese, FanDuel Cash, can you rank these hitters? I can't fit them all. Jordan, Soto, Judge, Ramirez. Who's getting left off the Mount Rushmore of hitters?
Yeah. I mean, the short answer is no, I cannot rank those. I mean, but I would go Ramirez, Judge, Soto, Alvarez.
Okay, great. You backwards of the way he listed them. Okay. New Generation says, hey, Cheese, could you please do a quick DK pitching recap? I missed the beginning of the show. Generally, I say you were late. Sucks to be you. But he said, please. He seems nice. I think we should do it. Cheese, can you give him your overview?
Yeah. What I would say is, no, I cannot give a quick overview because there isn't one. I listed 8 pitchers and said I have them tied. Yeah. That's the overview. Like slightly Ober and Ober and Pivetta would be the play if you don't care about ownership. Mm-hmm. If you do care about ownership, I lean to Scherzer, Sanchez, Michael King. But I also have Valdez and Tyone being cheaper. And some Ben Lively thrown in. Like it's so tangled and they're all so close. If you don't care about ownership, though, just do Ober Pivetta.
Okay, that was a great, quickish rundown. Good job. 2 minutes until lock on FanDuel. Ice, Ramirez, Lee from Minnesota, or Ellie and Martinez for Cleveland.
Both are really good. I'll go the first one there.
Okay. Now, I am not a BVP truther. Everyone that I know who I respect does not follow BVP. However, Jake points out that Jordan is 8 for 18 with 5 bombs against Bassett, which that's a lot of bombs in 18 at-bats. Do we care about that, even if it's good?
So let me say this. This is the point where, like, it doesn't matter. Like, he could be 0 for 50 or 50 for 50. The matchup says that Jordan is an amazing play. Like, you don't give him a bump from already being an amazing play. Like, he should have good BVP because he's a great left-handed hitter against a righty who is weaker against lefties. Like, there's nothing weird about the fact that he has good BVP.
Okay. So, yeah, it's not a BVP thing. It's just he's really good. Dude's bad. Yeah.
It's a great hitter against a pitcher whose splits favor him being that great hitter. So, of course, he has good BVP.
Yeah. Something that will give you a much larger sample and say that same thing is Chris Bassett has an 11.8% barrel rate allowed to lefties since the beginning of last year. That's a much larger sample and tells you basically the same thing.
Okay. He gives up bombs. He's giving up bombs. All right. He's getting chunnel caked. Let's see. Ice, Abreu or David Hamilton straight up FanDuel in a Red Sox stack.
Give me David Hamilton.
Great. Jim says, Cheese, I need a $2,600 outfielder. I hope he means DK because FanDuel locked and he didn't specify.
So if it's DK, it's John Keensey Noel.
Okay. Great. We'll take a few more of these questions and then we're going to bounce here. TJ says, shots at Chop about the BVP thing. I don't even know if Chop's BVP thing is serious.
That's the whole point. He's been doing it for like 4 years, and I don't know if he's serious either. It's fantastic.
Chop cracks me up. Like, I don't know if his whole personality is a bit because it's hilarious or if that's actually Chop. I can't tell, and I love it. All right, a few more QQs. If Ober starts and gets delayed in the 3rd or 4th, he ain't coming back. Yep, that's probably, yep, I agree. We need some home run calls. There we go. Let's close it out with some home run calls. Cheese, you're pulling up the list right now. Get your notebook. Cheese's list looks something like this. He gets the old notebook out. What do you got?
I mean, it's listed, but it's not listed by home run. It's just listed by good.
It's actually there. God, I love that.
So, Ramirez, Judge, Alvarez.
Okay. All right.
Are we good? There's your home runs. Yeah. You're welcome. You asked for it. You got them. And also Austin Wells and John Singleton.
Okay. Great. Ice, your thoughts?
I will go Jordan Alvarez at the top. That BVP cannot be ignored.
There you go.
For real, though, I do love Jordan today. Gleyber Torres a little bit cheaper, and then like a punt type, give me David Dahl against time.
Okay, great.
I did the 4-player home run parlay today of like what I usually do is like I pick like my 8 to 10 favorite home run plays, and I'll put like $1 on each of them and $1 on each of their parlays, just so that if it's a day that I get half of them, it's a huge day. If I get 1 or 2, it breaks even. And so today I did a bigger 4-man one with the Alvarez, Ramirez, Judge, and Devers.
I approve. I mean, I like it. I think there's going to be some fireworks here on 4th of July. Just kind of giving a final update at Minnesota. Yeah, I still don't see any reason to stay away from Ober. And the person in chat that keeps telling people to stay away is kind of pissing me off. Like, it's fine. I'm a meteorologist here. Just FYI. If I eat that forecast, okay, that's fine. But like, I got it. I got this under control. The last question that we need to get to was the most important of the day. It was unreleased lo-fi music, and we will close it out with this. Hot dogs or hamburgers on the grill for the 4th? This is a great freaking question. Cheese, I'm going to let you start. Hot dogs or hamburgers on the 4th?
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, it's one of the only times when the answer is both. Like, I want one of each, if not more than one. But
correct.
If I can only get one, I'm going to have a burger.
Okay. Ice, your thoughts?
Cheese, as per usual, just absolutely nailed that answer. Same exact thoughts. Why not both? And if I only have to have one, it's hamburger over hot dog.
Okay. I'm generally, TJ, go for it.
Same here, but I was also going to ask, what's everybody's toppings on their hot dog today?
Oh, I'm a straight ketchup guy. I will say on the 4th, I will go hot dog, because a burger is something I'll make at home. A burger is something I'll get at a restaurant. Whereas a hot dog, I'll never do that unless it's essentially on the 4th and we're grilling out. So for me on the 4th, I'm a hot dog guy because I just don't eat a lot of them and they are delicious. Toppings on a hot dog, and then we'll bounce. Ice.
I'm from the Chicagoland area. You cannot put ketchup on a hot dog, sir.
Like relish and
onions, relish, pickles, tomatoes. Yes. Celery salt.
Oh, Jesus, that sounds horrible. I hate it. Cheese, you do not put cheese on your hot dog.
What is celery salt? I don't even know what's happening.
It's fantastic, and it goes really well with hot dog.
I believe you.
Isn't that what you like rim a Caesar with?
Kind of Bloody Mary, or I don't
know. Yeah, it's on the rim of a Bloody Mary generally.
I put nothing on the hot dog. Just
a straight up just dry dog. Yeah. You're just straight Joey Chestnutting that bad boy.
Maybe a little water
in a bun. I don't dip in water.
All right. I think. By the way, Dean saying, "I love Keith's passion for hot dog toppings." You came like passionately with the heat about
that. Was like me talking about ice cream. That was pretty exciting.
All right, guys, we're gonna bounce on. Yeah, we're gonna bounce out of here. Hey, fantastic show, guys. As always, have a wonderful and a safe 4th of July. Be careful with the fireworks. One time my brother lit one and then he dropped it in his pants pocket and he almost blew his off. So be careful with those things. They are dangerous. For Cheese, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.